Stories about Hollywood often contain drama that never made it to the screen. The story of Nancy Culp and Buddy Ebsen is one that captures attention even before the Beverly Hillbillies brought them into the same spotlight. Their lives were already filled with experiences that could fill entire books before the iconic show, setting the stage for the tension that later simmered between them. Nancy Culp, born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, was not a typical Hollywood star. She was the only child of Robert and Marjorie Culp, with her father being a traveling salesman and her mother juggling teaching and later becoming a school principal. Nancy's upbringing was structured and focused on education, and she moved to Miami at a young age. By 1943, she had earned a degree in journalism, indicating a path towards a life behind the pen rather than in front of the camera. However, her journey took a different route as she began writing for the Miami Beach Tropics, a local paper, and interviewing prominent figures like Clark Gable and the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. Her life took a turn when World War II called, and she left her studies to join the U.S. Naval Reserve, earning the rank of lieutenant while serving her country. On the other hand, Buddy Ebsen, born and raised in Orlando, Florida, had dreams of dancing from a young age. Together with his sister Vilma, he ventured into the vaudeville circuit, showcasing their talents as a dancing duo known as the Baby of Stairs. Buddy's charming and laid-back demeanor captivated audiences, but his journey to success was not without challenges. Arriving in New York with minimal funds, Buddy had to hustle, which eventually led to opportunities on Broadway and in Hollywood. He secured roles in musicals, danced with Shirley Temple, and even contributed to animating Mickey Mouse under the guidance of Walt Disney. However, his career faced a significant setback when he was cast as the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. The role, which seemed like a dream opportunity, turned into a nightmare as the makeup used contained aluminum dust, leading him to a hospitalization and the role being recast. After that, Buddy turned to other gigs, including sailing and teaching naval officers during World War II. He might have been easygoing, but life had given him his fair share of experiences. Now, picture Nancy and Buddy, two people from completely different worlds, both with their own quirks and drive. By the time the 1950s rolled around, Nancy had moved to Hollywood, gotten married, though it didn't last, and taken a job in MGM's publicity department. A director spotted her and thought she had the face for acting, and soon she was popping up in small roles, playing everything from a maid on I Love Lucy to a drunken waitress on Maverick. Nancy wasn't a leading lady, but she had a knack for stealing scenes with her sharp wit and no-nonsense attitude. Meanwhile, Buddy was busy carving out a space for himself in television. He had a knack for playing folksy, down-to-earth characters that audiences couldn't help but love. He had already built a reputation as someone reliable, someone easy to work with. At least, that's how he came across to most folks. By the late 50s, Nancy and Buddy's paths had started crossing in the world of television. They weren't exactly working side by side yet, but the town wasn't that big. Nancy was earning a reputation as a smart, hard-working actress, but she also had strong opinions and wasn't afraid to speak her mind. Buddy, on the other hand, was known for being more traditional, maybe even a bit old-fashioned and passionate in his views. Before the Beverly Hillbillies came along, both were chasing opportunities wherever they could. Nancy had a string of guest spots on popular shows. She didn't have the typical Hollywood look, and she knew it. But that didn't stop her. She leaned into her unique style, playing quirky, memorable characters. Buddy, meanwhile, was bouncing between westerns, dramas, and the occasional comedy. He wasn't afraid to take on roles that showed a darker side either, playing villains on shows like Gunsmoke and Maverick. By the early 1960s, both had made their mark in Hollywood in their own ways, but neither of them had found that big breakout role yet. That was about to change, of course, with the Beverly Hillbillies. When the Beverly Hillbillies hit TV screens, it was like a rocket blasting off. People couldn't get enough of the Clampetts. This simple backwoods family suddenly surrounded by Beverly Hills glitz. The show was funny, charming, and a bit ridiculous, and it hooked millions of viewers week after week. At the center of it were Nancy Culp and Buddy Ebsen. When the creators of the Beverly Hillbillies were casting for the roles in the popular TV show, The Beverly Hillbillies, Nancy Culp was chosen to play the efficient and loyal secretary, Miss Jane Hathaway, who worked for Mr. Drysdale, the Clampett family's banker. Meanwhile, Buddy Ebsen, known for his easygoing demeanor and ability to portray wise, fatherly characters, was a natural fit for the role of Jed Clampett, the backbone of the Clampett family. When the show premiered, it became an instant hit, captivating audiences with the fish-out-of-water story of a family from the Ozarks striking oil and moving into a Beverly Hills mansion. The Clampett family's simple ways clashed with the extravagance of Beverly Hills, creating numerous hilarious misunderstandings that resonated with viewers. Amidst the chaos, Nancy Culp's portrayal of Miss Jane as a smart, loyal, and caring secretary with a subtle crush on Jed's nephew, Jethro, earned her audience's affection and even an Emmy nomination. Similarly, Buddy Ebsen's iconic portrayal of Jed Clampett, the calm and reasonable patriarch of the family, became a beloved character, with his catchphrase, "Well, doggies," ingrained in American pop culture. Off-screen, however, tensions arose between Nancy and Buddy, not due to their acting abilities or professionalism, but from their deeply contrasting political views. While Buddy was politically conservative and outspoken about his opinions, Nancy leaned more liberal, creating a fundamental divide in their perspectives on the world. This stark contrast in their personalities and beliefs led to heated debates and prolonged tensions as they struggled to reconcile their conflicting views while working closely together on the show. Despite the serious nature of the tension, both actors maintained professionalism on set. The show was a massive success, attracting millions of viewers every week and holding the #1 spot on TV for a while. The popularity of the Clampetts' antics endured, with Nancy and Buddy bringing their characters to life perfectly. Nancy's portrayal of Miss Jane became one of the most beloved characters on the show, known for her relatable and hard-working nature, often caught in the middle of others' messes. Meanwhile, Buddy's Jed provided a steady hand guiding the Clampetts through various ridiculous situations, always maintaining his cool. The tension between Nancy and Buddy persisted, with clashes in personalities and differing views leading to sparks flying on set. Despite their professional conduct, the close quarters and shared scenes as Miss Jane and Jed kept the underlying frustration palpable. Donna Douglas, who played Ellie Mae, revealed that the two actors would argue for weeks about their differing views, creating a tense set. Nevertheless, they managed to keep their disagreements from ruining the show, although it required effort to maintain civility while working closely with someone they clashed with. The audience never saw the tension that simmered beneath the surface as the Beverly Hillbillies became a cultural phenomenon and left a lasting influence on other shows. Even after the show ended, Nancy and Buddy's differences continued to shape how they interacted, with Nancy pursuing a new path in politics in 1984. After the show wrapped, she decided to run for a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives at the age of 62. Some people questioned whether an actress could transition into politics, but Nancy believed she had something valuable to offer, drawing inspiration from Ronald Reagan's similar career path. Running as a Democrat in Pennsylvania's 9th Congressional District, she faced a tough race from the start due to the district's solid Republican base and her opponent's 6-term experience. Despite the challenging odds, Nancy campaigned vigorously, connecting with people and sharing her ideas for change. Unexpectedly, Buddy Ebsen, with no ties to Pennsylvania or the race, volunteered to record a radio ad for her opponent, criticizing Nancy's political stance and accusing her of leveraging her celebrity status to sway voters. This personal attack felt like a betrayal to Nancy, who had clashed with Buddy in the past, but considered his involvement deeply hurtful. In interviews, Nancy expressed her frustration and disappointment, emphasizing that Buddy had overstepped and highlighting the impact of his actions on their relationship. The detrimental effect of the ad on Nancy's campaign became evident as she lost the election by a significant margin, with her opponent securing over 66% of the vote. Although Nancy stated that she didn't solely blame Buddy for her defeat, the emotional repercussions lingered, prompting her to take a break from Pennsylvania to process the events. Conversely, Buddy initially stood by his actions, believing in the validity of his criticisms of Nancy. But as time passed, he began to express remorse for the way their feud had unfolded. Despite limited contact after the campaign, Nancy found solace in teaching, allowing her to redirect her focus and emotions. After channeling her knowledge and experience into something meaningful, Nancy became an artist and resided at Juniata College, a small liberal arts school nestled in Pennsylvania's quiet countryside. During her time at Juniata, she taught acting classes and inspired countless students who came through her classroom doors, marking a peaceful chapter in her life away from the bright lights of Hollywood and the turbulence of politics. Nancy found a community at Juniata College that valued her insight and warmth, with students admiring her not just for her Hollywood fame, but also for her dedication to helping others grow. She brought humor and heart to her lessons, making her students feel that the stage could be a place for everyone, regardless of their background. In addition to teaching, Nancy also spent time performing in local theater productions and occasionally made guest appearances on television, reflecting her deep appreciation for the power of storytelling. Despite being diagnosed with cancer in 1990, Nancy remained determined, continuing to teach and stay active in her community for as long as her health allowed. She passed away in 1991, leaving behind a legacy that went far beyond her role as Miss Jane Hathaway. Meanwhile, Buddy Ebsen continued to stay in the entertainment industry as his work slowed down with age. After The Beverly Hillbillies ended, he kept acting, taking roles in movies and television shows, and even starred in a popular detective series called Barnaby Jones, which ran for several years. Despite being largely associated with his iconic character, Jed Clampett, Buddy embraced the love fans had for Jed, even if it meant occasionally being typecast. Grace often appeared at events and interviews, happily reminiscing about his time on the Beverly Hillbillies. Later in life, he wrote a memoir sharing stories about Hollywood, his career, and even the infamous feud with Nancy. Outside of acting, Buddy was an accomplished sailor and spent much of his free time on the water. He also dabbled in writing, penning novels that gave him a creative outlet beyond acting. Buddy was a man of many talents and found ways to stay active and engaged even as the years went by. In his personal life, Buddy enjoyed a long marriage to Dorothy, his third wife, and spent his later years surrounded by family. He lived to the remarkable age of 95, passing away in 2003, one of the last living connections to the golden age of television. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy lived on through the countless reruns of The Beverly Hillbillies and the memories of those who had worked with him. Looking back, their story feels like a collision of two strong personalities who just couldn't find common ground. They were both passionate, talented, and fiercely opinionated, and their differences created a rift that was hard to bridge. Still, it's impossible to ignore the magic they created together on screen as Jed and Miss Jane, bringing laughter and warmth to millions of viewers, a testament to their professionalism and talent.